the Baseball Talk Radio Show. I'm Gary Mack, and I'm joined, as always, by the great, talented Mr. Rich Baxter. Rich, been a while. We took a little hiatus there. I was down with a little bit of vertigo. You had a little bit of something. Then we had the holiday, so nice to be back into the saddle.
Yes, indeed. Great to be back in the saddle. We took Father's Day off, a nice needed rest. But yeah, a lot of these holidays are starting to pass us by now, and we're getting into mid to late June, and now it's getting to be what I would call baseball season now. We have the July 4th holiday ahead of us, and we also have on the 29th, we have a little minor holiday, but yeah, it's getting into baseball season now is my where I'm going with that.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's certainly moving along now and in July, and our teams are not exactly burning up the league, though your team's been playing better as of late. Mine continues to sliding away down the NLE standings. But, Rich, we had the phase one of the voting for this year's All-Stars is been announced, and Ronald Acuna Jr. is the overall leader, and Shohei Ohtani remain the leading vote getters in the National League and the American League, respectively. And some different faces on the list of players here. National League, the catchers, we got Sean Murphy leading it for the Braves, and first baseman Freddie Freeman, no surprise there. Matt Olson is second. That's a bit of a surprise. Second base, Luis Arias of Miami, and no surprise there. That guy is just tearing it up this year. And you know what's amazing me about that is, though, nobody goes to the games in Miami, but everybody's voting for this guy. Third base, Nolan Arenado. Austin Riley is behind him by a pretty good amount. Shortstop, we got Orlando Arcia in the Braves. A lot of Braves making their presence felt. Designated hitter is J.D. Martinez from the Dodgers, with Bryce Harper in second. And the outfielders, Ronald Acuna Jr., as we said, leading vote getter, Mookie Betts, and Corbin Carroll of the Arizona D-backs are the top three vote getters, and those are the National League leaders. And if we go look at the American League, the catchers, Adley Rishman from the Orioles, this is his second year now, and he's really developed into quite some player. A highly touted prospect, had a decent year last year, and of course, continuing that. First baseman, Vlad Guerrero Jr. of the Blue Jays. Second base, Marcus Semien of the Rangers. Third base, Matt Chapman of the Blue Jays. Shortstop, Bo Bichette of the Blue Jays. A lot of Blue Jays this year. And the designated hitter, of course, we said Shohei Ohtani of the Angels. And the three outfielders, top outfielders for the American League is Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, and Randy Arozarena. And what do you think? Any surprises there that you see?
As you said, a lot of Blue Jays, a lot of Braves. You know, the Braves are doing well. They just won their 42nd last night over the Phillies. Both teams brought a 6-game winning streak into that game last night. But yeah, I think the first phase of All-Star voting went according to plan. The fans are recognizing the best players in the game as of this year. and those guys are doing well. So congratulations to all of them so far. Um, I miss the old paper card days. Remember when you'd go to the
Yeah.
stadium and they'd pass out all these cards, and
Yep.
the people would collect them, and God knows how they would tabulate that years ago. But now it's all online. They've done away with all that paper, probably saved themselves a bundle in printing costs across the MLB. But remember the old cards? You had to punch out the little
Yeah.
circles, that was pretty fun. But now it's just a digital age. So you can vote up to 5 times a day. Go over to MLB.com. I do it a couple times during the season. I'm not that guy that's going to do it 5 times a day. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm happy that all these players are doing well. And as you said, there's some surprises in the season so far. We'll talk about that in a minute or two when we go over the standings. But yeah, the usual suspects, so to speak, of the game have again risen to the top. The Shohei Ohtani's, the a lot of the Braves players have done well, and you can't take that away from them. They're going to get recognized this year in the MLB All-Star Game.
It's just the only surprising factor I have is like I said, Arias, the Marlins do not draw, so it's going to be a lot of outside vote that's voting for him. Same thing with the Braves. They always talk about how the Braves, for as good as they are, they don't draw in the numbers that you would think that successful a franchise on the field would draw. But I mean, they do okay. They draw okay, but and yet they've got all their guys. So either their fans go online and vote, or or a lot of other people recognize their talents, and it's just it's hard to argue with anybody that we've seen. I guess Rushman being ahead of Salvador Perez for the catches in the American League is a bit of a surprise, but he's a good, he's a really good young player, and he's caught the imagination of not only Baltimore, but the baseball world in general, and he's got the numbers to back it up, so there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, pretty much all going according to plan, I would say.
Yeah, if we take a look at the MLB batting leaders right now, Luis Arias from the Miami Marlins, as you just talked about, he's
Mm-hmm.
on the highlight reels every day. He's batting 398, flirting with that 400 again. I listened to MLB Network Radio the other day, and they were talking about it and saying, do you think he'll still be at that average in a month or so, and there was some debate on that. But look at the top few names in batting average, and it'll tell you where they are ending up in the voting. Ronald Acuna Jr. again, batting 327, tied up with Austin Hayes from the Baltimore Orioles. Freddie Freeman always finds a way to rise to the top. LA Dodgers batting 324, and Bo Bichette rounding out the top 5 there with a tie for batting average. Home runs, Shohei Ohtani with 24 home runs, and he's a pitcher sometimes. So amazing. Pete Alonso of the New York Mets, he's been hurt. He's got 22. Jorge Soler, he's a monster for the Miami Marlins. I
Mm-hmm.
remember seeing him in person when they played the Phillies in Philadelphia, and that guy, I mean, take a minute of your day or 30 seconds, look at the box score, the Miami Marlins. 9 out of 10 times you're going to see him doing good for them. So he's a big reason for their success, and that'll be something else we talk about. Like I said, just towards the end of the show, we're not going to do a long show today because we're just fresh off the you know, getting better and being off. So we'll do a fast and furious show. Matt Olson up there with the home runs, 21. And Kyle Schwarber, his month of June is now. So he's woken up, so to speak. He's got 20 home runs on the season, rounding out the top home run hitters in baseball. So let's do the pitching real quick. Wins, 11 wins. Shane McClanahan of the Tampa Bay Rays. And if we go over their record, you'll see he's got 11 wins of their many wins. Nathan Eovaldi of the Texas Rangers with 9, tied up with Marcus Stroman of the Chicago Cubs, and Merrill Kelly of the Arizona D-backs, who was a surprise team for me this year.
Yeah.
Tied up with 9 with a bunch of other players and pitchers right now. Clayton Kershaw among them. So there's your top pitchers in as far as wins so far this year.
And of course, with the new stats, they don't hold much water when it comes to wins. I still do. But I'm an old fossil, I guess. So
I still think a win matters. I mean, a win is a win. If you're not going to be a Cy Young Award winner with 6 wins, you're going to need 26 wins to win, or 21 wins, or something like that to win a Cy Young.
We've seen in the last few years, though, somebody win with 10 wins. So I guess it's possible, but I don't see a lot of Mets and Phillies on those lists.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's because it's deserved, that they haven't deserved it.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Our teams have not played well. As I said, your team has played well as of late. My team continues to slide, and a lot of it is pitching. And when they get great pitching, they don't get hitting. When they get lousy, great hitting, they don't get good pitching. Then, so it's been it's just been a struggle all year for the team.
And that's what makes a good team. I mean, when both offense and defense are, doing well at the same time. Just let's look at a couple last years of the winners of the Cy Young. Sandy Alcantara, of course, from the Miami Marlins. Last year, Justin Verlander for the world champion Houston Astros. And I have to remind myself that, it was the world champion Houston Astros last year. They beat the Phillies in the World Series. They're still the world champions. So, going back beyond that, if you're watching our video version, Corbin Burns, Robbie Ray for the American League, Trevor Bauer, and Shane Bieber for the American League again. So, it's
interestingly enough, the 2 winners from last year both struggling this year. So I don't know if that means anything, but that's the way it goes sometimes, And Rich, there's a lot of surprise teams this year as well in the standings that so far, it's a long season, but you mentioned one a while ago. You mentioned Arizona as a surprise team, and we have Cincinnati. The Cincinnati Reds, last time I looked, which was yesterday, and they still are leading, albeit small, but leading in the NL Central. And that NL Central is a total mishmash there. Pittsburgh was in the lead for quite some time. They're starting to slip back a little bit.
They were 1-9. They've lost 8 in a row. They've fallen from a high height down into the bottom of almost the basement of the NL Central.
And St. Louis, of course, who everybody picked to win that division, has struggled mightily and had a lot of, they've been struggling like the Mets have been struggling. So it's very interesting how these teams, the people pick to win these things and really have just don't want to use the word collapsed, but have struggled this season. And you look at a team like Miami's for real. I mean, there's no two ways about it. And they're 10 games over 500, as you see there on the video, and unbelievable. Arizona, how about the Dodgers, Rich? They're in third place now. Okay, it's botched up. They're 3.5 games out, but everybody was picking the Dodgers or the Padres, and they are in third and fourth place in their division.
Yeah, the Miami Marlins are my surprise pick so far for puzzling me in the NL East. They're 10 games over 500, only 5.5 games back behind the red hot Atlanta Braves. And they've pulled things together with a team that I haven't even looked at their payroll yet, but they've got to be at the bottom rung of I would imagine, of all MLB teams in payroll, maybe the top bottom 5, I would think. And they're pulling it together. I love to see that from a team. The Phillies hanging tough, the Mets still hanging tough. It's not early anymore, but it's getting into the meat of the season. And please, if you're out there and you're a blogger or a podcaster, don't mention the word wild card. It sticks in my craw every time I hear somebody say wild card or see somebody, they're 2 games back behind the wild card. Wait till September to start talking about the wild card, because the wild card's going to change 100 times between now and then. So that is one of my pet peeves of this time of the season, talking about the wild card. How about you?
Yeah, well, I guess it matters to everybody now. So they're just gonna check it right away, and it is so early yet, though, and but again, you don't want to fall too far behind, even in that, because
Right.
it is a long season. But some of these teams get entrenched, and we're coming up to the trade deadline, and the thing that the wild card does, the expanded wild card, is that it keeps teams in it, and you have less sellers and more buyers, if you will, come the deadline. And now we're taking a look at the American League. Not a lot of surprise there. Baltimore is in second place. And they had a good year last year, and they've got a good young team. They're very young. Tampa Bay got off to that fantastic start, if you remember. Minnesota, the AL Central is almost an embarrassment, though, Rich. I mean, there's no team above 500 there, and that's kind of
again, I think that's interesting. That sort of
yeah.
mirrors the NL Central. Both Central clubs, or both Central groupings, are having a heck of a time, and they're collectively not great teams. They're showing it, but yet it's a dog's race back and forth. As we mentioned, Pittsburgh was almost near first place there. I think they were in first place
They
10
were.
days ago, and now
Yeah.
they lost 8 games in a row, and they just
Yeah.
fall right down to the bottom of the basement. That's why I'm saying these wild card things, don't set your eyes on that until September, because so many things can change. It's to me, it's like a waste of time. But be that as it may, Texas Rangers doing well out there. They're a surprise to me. I didn't personally think that they would be as good as they are right now. They got a run differential of plus 150 against teams that they've played. And even though they're 4-6 in their last 10, the Texas Rangers are doing it out there. They have 45 wins and 28 losses.
Yeah, they're hanging in there, and who thought at this point in the season that they would still be up there again. Everybody picked Houston, who is the world champions, and they're right there. They're 5.5 out. And the Angels are a bit of a surprise as well, only 5 games out, right on the tail of the Texas Rangers. So that's really a toss up out there, and you have to watch Houston, and you have to watch the Angels as well. You don't. I know some people pick Seattle, and they're not even at 500. So, I mean, like you said, anything could happen. It just takes one losing streak, and you lose 5 or 6 games, and you're hurting again. So, um, it that is the beauty of baseball. It's a marathon and not a sprint, as everybody says. So, interesting to see how this is all going to play out. But we shall see as the season rolls on, and we're going to get into the dog days of summer, the heat, and then that's when you'll see how these teams, like Cincinnati, the younger teams,
Mhm.
how are they gonna, are they gonna be able to hang on? Milwaukee's right there, but Milwaukee's has a little bit of experience in the playoff hunt, so they, uh, we'll see. Will they outlast Cincinnati and Pittsburgh and the Cubs and that sort of stuff? But it's going to be interesting. You got Cleveland battling with Minnesota in the Central of the American League, uh, and again, who makes the best trades if the deals? Who's gonna, be buyers? Who's gonna be sellers? And we'll see how that all shakes out.
Yeah, they say there's a lot more buyers going to be in the market and very few sellers this year. So it's
Yeah,
going to be
yeah,
a very interesting time for that. And between now and August 1st, starting pitching will be something that a team that's going for the playoffs or thinking they're going to be into the playoffs is going to shoot for. But who's going to jettison a good starting pitching guy? Starting pitching is probably one of the hardest things for these teams to get.
yeah,
But some of these teams that are out of it in the central divisions may in fact be people that are dealing these kind of players. So we will see what happens to that. The hot stove is going to be something that we're going to be talking about coming up on some shows coming up. And this is my time of season. I'm supposed to go to a game Sunday, and I can't wait. I just really get into baseball even more and more as the season goes on. I do love early season baseball because it's not as hot as you said, Gary. The uh, dog days of summer, quote unquote. It's tough when you're at the ballpark. I remember last year we were at the ballpark, and I think my girlfriend will not want to return to the ballpark because it was 110 degrees in the shade. The seats were so hot you couldn't even sit on them. We had to move a row up, and thank God the seat was available. But you got
but
to
that's the
tough it out.
fun.
You got to tough it out if you're a baseball
That's
fan.
right. That's the fun. It's the summer game.
Yes,
It's
it
not
is.
played indoors or in the well, it is played indoors in some cities,
Yeah.
but that's the fun of it.
Well, we'll be talking a whole lot about the hot stove, the MLB All-Star vote as we get into the second phase here. And it's interesting the way they're bringing these in phases and different things, because I don't know, you'd end up with a million billion punch cards if it wasn't digital. But it's pretty interesting the way they're doing this and presenting it nowadays. The MLB Combine draft going on now, and it's not as popular as the NFL. All I hear from a few of my friends is, "Oh, NFL offseason news, this, that, and the other." Wait for that. let us baseball fans enjoy
Yeah.
our season.
The difference is that these guys come out of college in the NFL and they go right into football, right
Yeah.
into the pro ranks, whereas baseball's different. They have a minor leagues and they draft a lot of younger players, high school players and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they don't make that leap right away. So um,
Yeah. They're not
I
ready
think that's the difference.
to explode right onto the market, have an
Right.
impact right away. These are players that are in development, um, as you said, out of college, out of high school sometimes, and but we have our last topic of the show here. We're going to have some international baseball coming our way.
Yes, we have what, a London series and uh I don't know whether is there's another one this year, but they're gonna do the London series again. And I believe it's the Cardinals. Do you have that information in front of you?
Yeah, I'm bringing it up right now. The 2023 um, MLB World Tour, they're calling it the London Series, the Chicago Cubs, rather, as Gary said, the St. Louis Cardinals are
Mm-hmm.
facing off against one another at London Stadium. That'll be this coming week, June 24th through the 25th. So just a couple days away. The Midwest folks will be taking in some games from,
Late hours or
yeah,
early
London.
hours.
And then, we'll get to see what some of the people from London have to deal with when they're MLB fans, because the times will probably be goofy. Let's take a look at tickets. If you're looking at the video version here, you can still buy tickets to this if you got a little deep pocket and want to jump over the pond. Get some hospitality packages still on sale in London. And, Gary, look at these prices: £38 for children and £54 for adults. So they're giving the kids a discount. That's nice. You don't
But
get that at American games. Everybody's one price.
what does that relate to in
Regular US currency. It's generally, I think it's around $85 US for adults and somewhere around 65 for children for this game. So, pretty
okay.
cool
Oh,
that
not
they'll,
bad prices.
yeah, pretty cool that you'll, be able to, split that up, take the family. Tickets still available. London Stadium here, Saturday and Sunday. So it's this coming weekend as of the time we're doing this show. I love the way they put the times in too at for London. It's 24 hours there. So 1500 hours at 3 p.m. in
Yeah.
London will be the time of game. Add 5 hours to that, and you're 7 or 8 o'clock in the US. So Saturday night, you'll probably be able to watch this game from London.
Is it, or do we take away 5 hours
Actually, it's 5 hours later
ahead of
in
us?
London. Yeah.
Yeah,
So right now we're doing the podcast. It's almost noon. So it's 5 p.m. in London. So
right.
at 3 p.m. in London, it's going to be, yeah, it'll be a little
Like 10 in
earlier.
the morning
Yeah,
or
10, 11
something.
in the morning. Yeah, somewhere around
Yeah,
there. And
yeah.
then 12 noon on Sunday. So that'll
It's like
be
7 in the
in
morning
the
or
morning.
something.
So yeah, it'll give us
Yeah.
something to watch on a Sunday morning. That's awesome. Very early. I'm an early riser.
And Rich, you better start putting your shekels away because next year it's the Phillies and the Mets that are going to London
Yeah,
to
well,
play in this wacky series. So
that'll be interesting. I think I'll be watching from afar on that. I don't know that I'll be. They
From
don't
the
have a lot of
comfort.
air conditioning in London still, so you go down on the tube, and you're gonna need a little towel to wipe your brow because
Well, you
they're
were
not up
just
with.
there, weren't you? Like last year?
Yeah, a
Was it
couple
last
couple
year?
years ago now.
Yeah.
But I've done my traveling. I think I don't know that I would go back anytime too soon. I had a wonderful time every time I've been there, but
Uh-huh.
you know, that's awesome that the MLB's giving the England fans a little treat. Have them, go watch a ball game, and hopefully a good time is had by all.
Well, it's starting to grow there. They have some organized leagues, and not up to our level, but um, it's starting. So we'll see where it goes.
Yes, indeed. Well, thanks for listening to this edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. Check us out on baseballtalkradio.com, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, wherever you have um, your podcast that you listen to. Hit subscribe and like and share us. If you like this show, share it with a friend. We need some more listeners. We need some more downloads. It always helps to spread the good word of this podcast. We've been doing it for many years, Gary and I. So hope you enjoy it. And Gary, can't wait for the next one all of a sudden.
Yeah, and we'll be talking more baseball news and whatever. So we'll see you next time on another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show.
All right.